Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here, and new brewery time? Yeah, new brewery time in the form of Wild Air Beerworks. This be their Timshel, is the India Pale Ale from Asbury Park, New Jersey. So, I heard of Wild Air Beerworks not too long ago. There was a brewery down in Asbury Park where this brewery was, called Dark City, and I used to stop there every now and then. I dug in their beers, a little hit and miss, but they had interesting stuff. They kind of shuttered their doors kind of right when the pandemic hit, and last year, I believe, 2022, this group kind of took over the spot and kind of brought it back as Wild Air Beerworks. It's kind of a conglomeration of a couple of breweries. Last Wave Brewing is the primary, or they're the owners. Partial, I don't know if it's everybody who owns Last Wave, but I know the ownership of Last Wave basically owns this. Last Wave, like I said, I've done a couple of their beers. Very good stuff. I actually owe them a podcast. I recorded a podcast with them kind of right before the pandemic hit, I believe. And it's just, the audio was just so bad I couldn't use it. I never reached out and told them why, so I kind of feel bad about that. But regardless, they purchased this spot. Someone from ex-Carton Brewing Brewers, the head brewer of the program. And from what I've gleaned from their kind of ethos is that it's more of drinkable beers. Lager, Pilsner, stuff like that. This is a can that was on a shelf by me that was available. So, ended up being a Hazie IPA. I thought the artwork was absolutely fantastic. It's actually what caught my eye when I picked the beer up. And I was like, oh, okay, I remember hearing about these guys. You're talking about, giving me a, what is this, 6 and change percent, 6.4%, a little hazy. I figured, why not give it a whirl? As far as what it says on the can, it says Timshel, India Pale Ale, from Wild Air Beerworks. Time and nature do wondrous things. On the back here it says, but the Hebrew word, the word Timshel, thou mayest. That gives you a choice. It might be the most important word in the world. That says the way is open. That throws it right back on a man, for thou mayest. It also true that thou mayest not. A little religious there. No date in the can, so I have no idea how old this is. So hopefully we're doing well. Yeah, we are mid-May here in the old northwestern New Jersey's. Like I said, I picked this up at a local grocery store. I don't believe I've seen any of their beers available. But as I previously stated, that artwork is killer. Anytime you give me gold, I kind of get a little hot and bothered. But just the line work, the framing, the whole nine, I dig it. As far as the beer goes, it has me kind of interested because it's not super hazy. You just kind of assume India Pale Ale, 6%, New Jersey, you're just going to get a bit hazier, United States or the world. You can definitely see through that. I don't know if you can see my finger kind of going back and forth, but that's about the least minimal part of hazy that you get in today's beer world. It has that rich orange glow, subtle haze to it, pinky finger of a nice kind of soapy, creamy head. Let's get a nose. Citrus is kind of the calling card here, but it comes off very much like, it's not hard candy citrus, it's like a gummy candy kind of citrus, but in an undersweetened kind of way, in a very positive way. You're getting a nice sweet maltiness there, that little bit of kind of like confectionery kind of OJ, and done. It's not like screaming at you, it's not like reaching across the glass and wringing your neck with the amount of impact to it. But it comes off as a very kind of old school sensibility. Citrus forward IPA with a little bit of new school kind of hopping. Yeah, let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. That's tasty, a nice bitterness to it. Very drinkable. Probably the biggest thing I'm going to get in my soapbox about is, you guessed it, ABV. But what you have here is just a really clean, well-made kind of IPA. I'm really curious. I'm going to have to see if I can track down a date on this. I could see this having a little bit of time on it and losing a little bit of its like impact, a little bit of a zip on its fastball, but it still drinks really, really nice. That's why I'm kind of curious about the dating on it. It is the 17th of May, 2023. So maybe that'll help somebody out there help track down a date on this sucker. But first off, it comes off this really nice drinkable mouthfeel. It's not going to come off turbid, not going to come off thick. At the same time, it's not going to come off thin. Followed by this nice kind of soft, kind of, again, kind of slightly confectionery, kind of gummy ring, kind of citrus. Again, not overly sweet, not even close to being anything kind of synthetic or fake. But it does have this nice kind of orange Gina kind of thing going on without being too kid-like. A little bit more like adulty fruit juicy, if you will, leaning heavily citrus. There's a nice bittering to it. It comes off a little bit West Coast bittering, a little bit ranky-dink, nothing too aggressive, but for the way the beer kind of comes off, impact-wise, both from a mouthfeel and citrus standpoint, the sweet standpoint, that bittering is not only welcome, it's actually kind of like perfect, kind of balance on the beer. It almost drinks, it's not, but it almost drinks like an IPL in the way it kind of comes off, in that it's super drinkable. Like the way that kind of fruitiness and sweetness comes off and then kind of gets counterbalanced by that bitterness. And with it not being an overly heavily turbid beer with an overly heavily body to it, it just drinks as something a little bit more chuggable, a little bit more drinkable. That's where that kind of ABV thing kind of gets a little bit kind of, I don't know, stuck for me a little bit. And that I can see this beer easily being made at sub 5%. Having the same level of impact it has and being just as tasty. For some bizarre reason, I don't hate on that. You know what I mean? It's not 6.4% is not a big beer. I'm not going to get all hot and bothered about it. If it was lower ABV, that would be an awesome thing. But in the grand scheme of things, you're talking about a nice, tasty, drinkable, not run-of-the-mill, not what you typically get from a new school kind of hazy IPA, but enough of that new schoolness to kind of make you all happy and stuff if you dig those kind of things. Beer from New Jersey brewery and group that I kind of dig on. Like I said, last week I dig on what they do. You know, their brewing lineage comes from Carton. I dig on what Carton does, and it kind of is a nice marriage of those two. If I really kind of think about how their beers drink, it kind of makes sense. And it's always nice to have breweries doing good things in spots that, you know, we don't want to lose breweries. We want to gain them. Good ones. You know, there's always going to be a little bit of shrinkage when it comes to, you know, business and breweries in general, because there's a lot of people that get into it just aren't good at it, or, you know, there's just in it for the wrong reasons. But to see a brewery not just excel like Last Wave, but to also expand and go into something like this and see their offerings locally to me and drink in a way that I think is tasty yet different than what Last Wave provides, even though it is a hazy IPA, and that's a lot of what Last Wave does. Even though I do a lot of different stuff, I dig on it. I like this. I like this quite a bit. I can't wait to try other stuff from them. I will lie though, there was another beer there, but it was like a Berliner like kettle sour, and I just wasn't in the mood for a kettle sour. So I want to try some of their lagery stuff. Hopefully that kind of makes it up into my way, and I get to take a chomp on some of their other things. Because when I perused the website, I saw a decent amount of kind of like Italian Pilsner this, you know what I mean, like lager that. So definitely be a spot I'm keep my eye out for, and hopefully visit soon enough. Let's talk about it. Wild Beerworks, have you been there? Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? Have you had this exact particular beer? Let me know down there. Last Wave, have you been there? Have you been back to? Have you been to both? Because they're not super far. One's Asbury Park, one's Point Pleasant. Not super far in Jersey terms. Not much any terms actually. Probably like 10, 15 minutes away from each other, maybe a little bit longer depending on the traffic. Have you had both of the brewery stuff? If you had, what's your favorite? All that stuff down there. So there you go, reviewing the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of Wild Ale Beerworks right now. We'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.